Hi everyone, it's Louis Fernandez here with the LRF Group, and I wanted to go over a couple of market reports that was provided to us by my office at EWM, and this has having to do with Q1 2025, the first quarter down here in South Florida. I'm not going to go through all the analysis, but I just want to highlight a couple of things here that I thought that might be important. And one of of course, these are graphs. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it, but I'll try to explain to you as best as possible. And the first one is talking about mortgage interest rates in the last 50 years, going from January 1974 through up to March 2025. And if you look at this graph, and let's see if I can explain as best as possible, there was a period for most of these 50 years, interest rates were around the 7s and the 6% interest rates. There was a period of January of 1979 through January of 1989 that you had rates really in the high double digits. You had 10, 11, 12, 13, even at one point in 1982, you had interest rates of 17%. And then you go through a period of January of 2009 through 2022 that we had these interest rates down in the lows 2s and 3s and 4% for the most part. And then that, of course, that changed back to January 2023 when the rates went back up to 6.5 to 7%. And that's where we are currently right now. We're back around just under 7%, 6.8, 6.9%. So I guess the explanation of this graph is that the anomaly has been those two periods that we had double-digit interest rates back in the early 70s and 80s, and then we had this other anomaly from the other extreme, the really low interest rates starting in 2009 through 2022. Of course, that was because of the 2009. We were in the Great Recession at that time, and so there was a lot of money that was being pumped into the system. And to stimulate the economy, interest rates were pushed down to create an incentive for people to start borrowing and buying again. So, and those were external factors that caused that those rates to be abnormally low. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see those again in our lifetime, but just to give you an idea, that right now, currently, we are basically in normal periods of time of interest rates, excluding any external factors. And then there's another chart here that says the effect of interest rates on the buying power. So it talks about if you're looking to maintain a principal and interest payment of steady monthly of, let's say, $4,216, if the interest rate's at 6.75%, the loan amount is around $650,000. If it just goes up by 1 basis point, it drops that loan amount down to $633,000. If it drops 25 basis points, you add an additional $667,000. The loan amount increases to $667,000. If you want to maintain the same monthly payment of $4,200 a month. So it's very important that how interest rates can affect the buying and purchasing power of a borrower. Every time the rates go up by 1 percentage point, typically the buyer loses 10% of the purchasing power. And conversely, when it drops at 1% of interest rate, the buyer gains 10% purchasing power. So it's important, since we have interest rates that are fluctuating on a regular basis, almost weekly now. If you're thinking about buying something, you should lock into your rate. And there's also a program that's available, and you need to speak with your mortgage loan officer, that it floats the rate downwards, right, and locks it to the lowest rate in the event that the rate should drop prior to you closing on your property. So it's important to keep that aware. Here, the next graph here is actually the state of Florida. It's a graph of the United States. And it's talking about sales tax. There's only 8 states currently that has no sales tax. Of course, Florida is one of them, Texas, Tennessee, South Dakota, Wyoming, Washington, Nevada, and Alaska. The two highest ones is California with sales tax of 13.3%, and New York is 10.9%. And in between that, you've got variations in the 4s and the 5s and the 9s and the 8% all across the country. So it's one of the reasons I think that during the pandemic, so many people also moved down to states like Texas and Florida, because we don't have any sales tax, and the affordability issue was very important. Migration. There's a map here about the migration. Florida is currently from July 1st of 2023 through July of 2024. Florida received more than 1,280 residents per day coming into the state of Florida. Texas actually was the leading state in the union with more than 1,500 residents entering the state every day. The New York actually had a plus of 356, and California had a net gain of 637. So that was pretty, and it's also very telling that Florida still is one of the leading states in the country that people still are moving down to, and it's a very important indicator of where the growth of the state of Florida is currently. So from the people who are moving down to South Florida, the number one are relocating are coming from New York, California, and those are the ones that are typically moving down here to Florida. Those are the two top states, which I'm not surprised. And then also the last couple of graphs I want to share with you is regarding the single-family homes here in Miami-Dade County. So the median sold prices of a single-family home within Miami-Dade County has increased by 350% over the past 14 years, from $150,000 in January of 2011 to $675,000 in March of 2025. That's just amazing, 350%. And actually, our analysis here at the LRF Group, in general, a single-family home in Miami-Dade County now is a median price around close to $850,000. So that it's those who are saying that, especially here in South Florida, that the market is crashing or anything of that nature. That's far from the case. Especially with the single-family residential properties, and the condo market has actually also done quite well as too. In that 15-year overview, the median sold price of condominiums within Miami-Dade County has increased by 378% over the last 14 years. Actually, from 92,000 in January of 2011 to now 440,000 in March 2025. So the condo market here in Miami-Dade County, again, also has been just increasing upwards. That doesn't mean that their prices have slowed down, and I do feel that here, prices are going to, in certain pockets of neighborhoods here in South Florida, especially in Miami-Dade County in general, you're going to have pockets that you're still going to gain some appreciation. Nominal appreciation. In other pockets, it probably might drop a little bit. The condo market definitely, though, when you break it down into age groups of buildings, the older condo buildings in Miami-Dade have depreciated significantly, between 24 to 30%, which is significant because of all the milestone inspections and new legislation that was passed because of a few years ago that's forcing the condominiums and associations to upgrade their structural integrity reports and buildings and come up with reserves, full 100% reserves, and being able to address whatever repairs structural repairs that they find that these repairs have to be done. And so it's causing quite a bit of expenses to the residents of these condo buildings, especially the older buildings. And it's making the affordability a major crisis. And so because of it, buyers are staying away from that because it's much more difficult also to finance those type of buildings, and buyers don't really want to come in and have to pay special assessments and higher maintenance fee for it. So that's really affecting the condo market. But unfortunately, it's something that that I think it needs to be addressed. And I think the state legislators right now are trying to mitigate that a little bit, because the affordability issue in South Florida is not getting any better. Because we're only limited to how many homes we can build, and land is limited here, and vertical living is really still the most affordable avenue for most people. And you need to encourage people to buy into condominiums because it is affordable. Though it's expensive, it's still much more affordable than the purchase most single family homes here. So that's something that we have to look at. In Miami-Dade County, the single-family home inventory right now actually has gone up by 39%. As of right now, we've got over 5,500 homes as of March 31st of 2025 versus 4,000 homes back in March 31 of 2024. So the inventory of single-family homes have gone up. The month supply here has gone up by 54%, which basically we have a inventory of close to 7.1 months of inventory. However, median prices, though, have gone up by 4%. So even though our supplies and inventories have gone up, the median price still overall in Miami-Dade County continues to increase. In the condo market, the inventories also have gone up by 44%, from 13,600 to 13,645 units on March 31st of 2025, compared to 9,400 units back on March 31st of 2024. So the supply has increased by 67%. So we currently have close to 16 months of inventory, which is quite a bit. By the way, the healthy inventory in single or condo market is usually between 6 to 7 months of inventory. So we are definitely more than twice as much of inventory that we need here in the condo market. And of course, that has to do with what I've just mentioned. Some of these older condo buildings, they're trying to sell these units, and there's no takers, and so the supply is increasing on a monthly basis. But then again, depending upon the age of these buildings, the median price though have gone up by 4%. So kind of a little bit of an oxymoron here, that you've got all these supplies is going up, but yet the prices are as well as continuing to rise. Because when you break them down into younger buildings, especially those that are they're less than 30 years old, they're actually appreciating in some of these buildings, especially with the ones with that sweet spot between 10 and 15 years, they're appreciating about close to 8 or 9% annually. When you get to the 30-year plus older buildings, those are the ones that are really suffering, and they are the ones that are depreciating close to 24%. So there is a difference. But anyway, I wanted to go over just these generalizations here of the first Q1 market report here for South Florida. I hope you found this information useful. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Remember, we're licensed not only in the state of Florida, but also New York, and we are specialized and certified relocation specialists. My team works very hard. They're very efficient, and it's not because they're my team. I'm surrounded by very talented agents here, and we were able to assist you in your relocation needs, no matter where you're coming from, either across the country or across the globe, for that matter. So next time, thank you so much for listening to us, because we're watching out for you and the best interests of your property. Till next time, all the very best. Bye-bye.